Welcome to CareyBrosPros, the podcast for construction pros by construction pros, because your client satisfaction is the best paycheck. Now, here are James and Morris Carey.
Good to have you with us on this episode of CareyBrosPros. We are very excited to welcome two guests for this segment. We're talking about landscaping, trends, new techniques, and the value of creating a solid team. Let's welcome the owners of DPG Design, Dave and Susie Garcia. Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Susie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, Dave and Susie. So good to have you on CareyBrosPros. To start off, give us the scope of work elements that make up what we refer to as quote-unquote landscaping.
God, that's a very broad term.
Yeah, it is a very broad term. The thing that makes up landscaping is doing not only just planting or what we call softscaping, but also incorporating hardscaping. So hardscaping is more like your patios, your decks, pergolas, pools, anything like that would be hardscaping. And I think, ultimately we have to make a plan. So we want to plan for success when we're doing all these elements.
Wow. It's not just throwing a patch of green down. It really has to do with thinking things out and what works not only with the home, because I would have guessed that whatever you create in the way of a plan has to work with the home, but it also has to fit the homeowner's lifestyle. Having said that, there's a great trend toward outdoor living and bringing the outdoors in. But unfortunately, budgets often get in the way of some great ideas. So how do you folks help customers decide between adding an outdoor room or building a room addition to their home?
We'll talk to the client first of all and just find out what their wish list is. And we give them a questionnaire that before we even see them, that they could go over and answer some of the questions that we have regarding what their wishes are with their landscaping. And then from there, when we see their questionnaire, it goes into, we'll do things like Google Earth their house so we could see the layout from up above and see what the room is and what the area looks like regarding the house. Then when we meet, we'll have even more questions. And basically what I like to do is I just kind of like this interview. I have probing questions to finally get to the point of what they really want in their landscape.
Inquiring minds want to know. So I've seen your questionnaire, and I have to tell you, it is thorough.
Very thorough. Do you want a fireplace outside?
Do you want a water feature?
Yeah.
Are you going to be doing swimming? Do you want a spa?
You want a bomb shelter?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Right.
Do you want
Very important nowadays too, that question, by the way.
Do you want a vegetable garden? Is privacy important to you? I mean, I've seen the list of questions that you ask, and it makes so much sense. And you'd say, well, you know what? Listen, these people would have no interest in it. You have to ask the question. You have to get told no so that you can probe and define the direction that you need to go in for the client. So I really like that. Okay, go ahead.
And even when talking about the room additions, which I know is something that the Carey brothers specialize in, but here in California, it's very expensive to build, as you guys know. And
it's expensive to do anything in California.
Exactly. I'm so glad we're not having to pay to breathe right now.
That's coming with the next governor. All right, go ahead.
Well, but because the weather is so nice here, it is an opportunity to use your outdoors more. So, Dave has taught me is basically you look at your yard as a grid, the same as your house, and it's all square foot pricing. And when you start looking at price per square foot to add a home addition, that tends to be a lot higher than price per square foot to add a pergola and a patio and then buy some outdoor furniture. So it's even an option for a general contractor, to even refer to a landscaper if they come across a client that just doesn't have the budget to do the addition that they were hoping.
Makes sense.
We're doing a project in Oakland, and the first thing I did was have the owner hire a landscape architect up front so that we could work together to create an all-in-one design that worked for the homeowner. So that was very important to me. The same thing on a project that we're doing in Menlo Park, which is a very, very expensive community where the landscape contractor is involved right now in the permit application process.
And I'll bet you know that landscape contractor because when you look in the mirror, you see him. All right.
I know that housing prices are really high, coast to coast. I know that in the center of the country, that's not necessarily the case. But on both coasts, housing prices are really, really expensive. Of course, not to mention Chicago. In those competitive markets, can an outdoor living space make a difference to the value of one's home? Really?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, absolutely it can.
Landscaping means more maintenance work on the part of the homeowner, right?
Yeah, there's no such thing as no maintenance, but oftentimes if somebody's investing a significant amount of money in their yard and doing things, they typically will have the budget to pay for landscape maintenance, which is, pennies on the dollar compared to somebody's time. But there are a lot of statistics as far as doing landscaping and how it can improve. There's a study done by the National Association of Realtors and the National Landscape Association, and they looked at different things that you did in order to sell your property. And if you just started taking care of your lawn and upgraded just making it green, that's like a 400% value recovered to be able to sell your home. And, 98% of realtors surveyed said that curb appeal is super important. So there's a lot of things with how your home looks on the outside with curb appeal and features that can increase the value and increase it, especially if you're trying to sell it.
And, of course, maintenance has everything to do with what you select and how much energy or time or money you're willing to invest for ongoing maintenance. I mean, some people might want a formal rose garden, and they've got to have it, and it's wonderful and it's beautiful, but it's more maintenance intense to the extent that there's pruning and harvesting the roses and tilling the beds and that sort of thing. And that's a decision that you make up front. You don't go into it blindly, and you discuss that with the design professional like you to determine what it is you want. And I imagine if I came to you and said, I want these tall baronial hedges, you would say to me, they're wonderful, they're great for privacy, but be advised that you're going to be, trimming these formal hedges in this Versailles-looking garden, as opposed to, say, something else that I might do. And by the way, I know from going to these builder shows now that you can even get faux hedges or composite hedges that not everything needs to be natural and maintenance intense. You can, just like you can get composite decking, there's now composite products that are used for landscaping. True?
Oh, very true. I mean, there's tons of composite products out there now, and it's just like you say, it's just like if I wanted to go get Botox in my face, I could put Botox in my yard.
Yeah, that's right. I resemble that remark.
No.
I have a composite rose that's connected to a spray device that pumps out rose smell every 12 hours.
He's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Listen, we are talking about, that's a trend though, and we all of us just returned, not together, but we saw one another in Las Vegas at the National Hardware Show, and of course, in addition to nuts and bolts and all of that stuff, they have a wonderful outdoor living section, and I know that we all saw all sorts of products and ideas and trends at that show. Why don't you share some of the outdoor living space trends with our pro audience so that they can understand what may be of interest to their clients?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'd like to say that while we were at the National Hardware Show, ran into James there. James came up and, said hi and greeted us. Martha Stewart, however, dissed me and walked right past me when I said hello.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. But don't worry, because she's going to get a pardon. She's going to get pardoned. I don't need a pardon.
I don't blame her. I would have had her security guard beat me up too.
Okay, all right.
Anyway, so that the trends that we saw is just is vast. Is outdoor kitchens and synthetic lawns, and just like you said, composite pittosporum hedges and fire tables and fire pits and you name it. It seems like it was there. Veggie gardens are going to be huge. A lot of people like to grow their own vegetables, and some of those have self-contained irrigation systems. So you basically plant them, set them on a timer, and put your soil in them and watch your food grow. Those are a lot of the trends. Pergolas, that sort of thing.
I think too on the composite, like here we're doing a lot of Alumawood pergolas because the price of wood has gone so high as a commodity.
Yes.
And a lot of those composite products are sustainable. They're often made out of recycled material. So it really is a green theme that is really trending a lot as well. And one of the things, this wasn't at the hardware show, but there was a study done by the National Kitchen and Bath Association, and they were talking about outdoor living, and 43% of the people surveyed said that their design included an outdoor kitchen. Everyone's expecting an increase in outdoor projects, and custom and high-volume home builders are moving towards including their outdoor living space with an outdoor kitchen as part of their package because so many people are wanting it. So, all of these big construction zones, they're not just leaving the backyard completely blank. They might be putting a little bit of a feature in there, and we've actually run into that with some custom home builders here as well.
All right, so as we talk about these trends and all of these exciting elements that one can design into a project or can share with their client, what do you do when your customer's budget and their dream ideas don't mesh? That's the tough one. That's the tough one. What do you do?
Super tough. Sometimes we have to rip the Band-Aid off, and
Ouch.
just tell them this is, for what you want, it's not reality. And I can remember early on in my career, I wasn't designing. I was doing the construction part. And some of the most tragic things that I saw was somebody, and I'm just going to be hypothetical here, somebody might have had a $50,000 budget to do their landscape, but they went to a designer or an architect and they had done a plan that was like $500,000 plan.
Oh, my.
And you could just see, okay, they're never going to spend this money on their landscape, and it's a tragedy. So one of the first questions we ask is, what is your budget? And sometimes you have to tell people that it's a reality or not, or you say, let's design something and see how close we could get and start with something for them. But you don't want to take a client's money if it's never going to come into fruition either. If there's just no way there's going to be any budget. It might be just saying, hey, we could do some softscape with your existing hardscape and be able to plant it out, because that's going to be, like Susie said, looking at the grid, that's going to be less money or less cost than doing hardscape typically.
Okay.
Or we'll do
phasing.
We'll phase their project, and they might be counting on a bonus or something like that later on that they could do the project.
Yeah, we like to phase our room additions too. Let us build the foundation and walls, and we'll put the roof on 3 winters down the road. That, unfortunately, is not the kind of phasing that we can do in our end of the business, but phasing does make a lot of sense when it comes
especially
to
in the
landscape.
Outdoor arena.
Yeah, in the outdoor arena.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. We'll do a front yard one year and a backyard the next year. It kind of depends on what's important. Sometimes people want the curb appeal, and sometimes they want their outdoor living in the back first, and they worry about the front later.
Here in California, we've recently come out of a multi-year drought, and, many folks are interested in low water designs. Does that mean the yard lawn is done?
Here in California, the trend has gone to synthetic lawns. So I think synthetic lawn has come such a long way since the inception of AstroTurf, we seem to be doing a lot of synthetic lawn, or we wound up doing more of a plant